Good day. Welcome to today's session on Command Center and leading practices within Command Center today. As most of you are aware, Command Center changes will be taking place with future releases, but today we want to show you some of the leading practices on how you should have Command Center configured to meet customer needs. First of all, you will go under Site Setup, and the very first tab you will see is Info or Information. When you come into here, you're going to notice that we have 5 required fields. The first one's going to be the site name, and the site name should be what we would call the go-to-market name for this particular site. And very often, this is something that the customer will provide, but it will be the customer's company name. In our particular case, we're calling it SAP for, obviously, SAP. You will also see that it is very common that we have the company name and site name being identical. They can be different, but leading practices is to keep those two in alignment. If we next look at the site URL, you will see that this is made up of the folder name that you see on the right-hand side. In this case, it's called Demo. And then, of course, under the site URL, you will see that the rest of that information will be specific to the data center that you are configuring for your testing or demo environment. And when you get into production, obviously, this will be the URL that the customer has identified for the production environment. When you get down to site type, this will always be RX for all recruiting implementations moving forward. If you want more detailed information about any of these fields that you see within Command Center, you can always find these within the recruiting documentation that would be found on help@sap.com. Next, let's take a look at the Settings tab. You will notice on this tab that we don't have any required fields, but there are a number of fields or attributes that are critical for a recruiting implementation. All future implementations should have Career Site Builder as their deployment method. And then, of course, you will see that all attributes on here are actually selected. If we take a look on the right-hand side, some of the fields that are required on the right-hand side is the site has to be active in order for us to use it. You also want to be able to go through and have it use SSL for security purposes. And of course, the job start on JATS and the job expiration on is what's going to be driven from, in many cases, the recruiting management platform, really known as the start date and end date that we will get from the recruiting system. In addition, your server session should always be selected for your session type for all recruiting marketing implementations. Again, for more details and explanations about some of these critical fields, you can find the information at help@sap.com. Next, we're going to jump over to this search. When you get into search, by default, we generally recommend that you have both keyword and search by location enabled. If customers want to elect to disable any of these, they absolutely can. This controls the search bar. But leading practices is to have both keyword and location enabled. If a customer elects to do search by distance, please keep in mind that this is only available within the United States, and so generally this is not enabled in many customer environments. Next, we will take a look at the Apply tab, and again, you can see on here there's not a lot going on, but what you want to make sure is a couple things. You have the 2 settings at the top that need to be enabled, and then of course the password length that is required on this page should match within the platform. Take a look at is going to be the SSO tab. Again, within this tab, you're going to see that we do have a number of required fields. For example, company ID. This would be the company ID or instance ID out of the platform that would be connected to the field right below, which is the system name or the data center in which that company or instance ID would reside on. As well as you're going to need to make sure you have a security key that will connect both the command center with the provisioning instance that you are connecting. Keep in mind that you will also need to go through and use candidate account simplification, as well as do the recruiter SSO to be able to do the recruiter sync between the two different platforms. As always, you can find detailed information about explaining the requirements about the different attributes for Command Center at help.sap.com, or you can do a search within the KBA articles. Thank you very much for your time.